Here we go, here we go. We back. This is What's Wacky Us.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
So today we're gonna touch on a few different things. We got what we got going on, so
Well, today we're going to be discussing people who are non-parents or have not raised any children in their lives but always have, 2 cents to offer from the peanut gallery to people who have raised children and or are parents. Excuse me. So this would be a shout out to all parents, all moms, dads, step-parents, all those who don't have biological children but have raised siblings, raised other people's children. You too are a parent. And when somebody tries to come along and give you some parental advice and they've never, ever, ever raised a child, took care of a sibling for an extended period of time, but want to tell you what you're doing wrong, how you could do it better, and have no idea what goes into parenting whatsoever. And of course, you know us on What's Wacky to Us. We'll probably make a left turn here and there and start talking about some trending topics. So you know how we do.
So basically, we talking about a bunch of, as we call in sports, the sideline coaches. So you're going to be on the sideline and you're trying to tell us how to run the game, and you never been in the game because you don't got no kids. You're not in the game. And you can't be, because I see it a lot on social media. Like somebody be like, well, like even with stuff like with the gender stuff and everything, they be like, oh, let the kid be this and that. And it'll be come from a person that has no kid, so they don't know the hurt and the impact that have on that parent. But you just voicing your opinion that's like really voided it because you're not in the game. You have no kids. You don't know what it's like to raise a kid, once again, because you have no kid. You can be an auntie, an uncle, or whatever. That's that, oh, I come and get them, take them to the park.
And give them right back.
You know what I'm saying? And then, but you're the subject matter expert on this, and you probably go home like, oh, man, I can't believe my sister or my brother, the way they be doing and just letting this kid run wild, or
and let's just put that disclaimer out there. We're not talking about ignorant nonsense and people like who are neglectful and people, the crackhead parent and the degenerate parent. We're talking about legit parenting here. So before the hit dog hollers and it's like, oh, my parent was an abusive, piece of crap and this and that. We're not talking about them. And furthermore, this also ties into kids also have an issue with their parents and never take into consideration that their parents have lives, struggles, pains, sicknesses, ailments, trauma, and everything else that everyone else has. But somebody also, like your own children, will be like, oh, my mother could have did this and that better, and never takes into consideration that you don't know what your mother been through and is trying to do the best she can with what she has. Your father's trying to do the best he can with what he has, and you out here criticizing. You ain't never taken care of nobody. Meanwhile, you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, food to eat. You got nice sneakers on. You're not living in squalor. But you want to criticize your parents because you don't like that you couldn't get Jordans when you wanted them. And you got somebody over there being like, well, if I had kids, I would do it this way. Well, guess what? You don't have no kids. So you don't know what you would do.
Out the game. Sideline coaching. Now, I use myself for example. Like, when I had my first kid, I was 16 years old. And was I ready to be a father or a parent or anything? No, I was still trying to go to the park. I was still worried about fresh sneakers and stuff like that. I was in no responsibility. I was 100% not ready. I was coming home. My mom's had my baby in the house. Like, here, hold this baby. It's your baby. I'm like, come on. Like, in my head, I'm like, you blowing minds right now. Like, I'm trying to get out here. The crew is waiting, at the bench at 48 Park, cracking jokes and carrying on, acting a fool. And here she is with this baby, and, it was like, and it took me a while before I was actually ready to become a father, man. Like, it took me a long time, and I was lucky that my moms and my family and everybody had my back, because if it would have been up to me, I don't know how it would have turned out. And Actually, that kid right there, my daughter, she turned out pretty well because it was a village mentality. It definitely took a whole village to raise her because I wasn't ready, and it would have just been all bad. And my mom's, she played a major role in that. And my daughter's, her other side, the grandmother and everybody played a major role in that. And so it happened, she turned out that she graduated college. She wasn't a statistic, got her master's, doing whatever she do. But, yeah, man, kids don't understand. You was something before you had them.
And they want to be like, parents don't understand? Nah, little ones, nah. Parents do understand. The thing is that y'all don't understand. It's just like you said, at 16 you weren't ready to be a parent. I was a parent at 17, and again, it's true. You're not ready. You're growing up with your kid, literally. And again, no one takes that into consideration. And so I gotta say, shout out to my grandma because she was the absolute everything. And even on my father's side, my grandfather on my father's side, they were so supportive, whereas my own parents weren't, even though they were also teen parents. So it's like, you condemn me for basically doing what y'all did.
That was shots.
It was. Because they basically said that I had ruined my life. And then what happened? What happened? They said I had ruined my life. I should have put my baby up for adoption. Well, maybe when my second child was born and he was not even a year old, Rick and I moved to North Carolina into a real nice big house. And when my moms came to visit after all of her condemnation and how I was wilding and all that, and then she came to visit and seeing we had the beautiful big ass house with the big backyard, and it was my daughter and my grandchildren, my grandsons are doing so well. Like you were ready to say that we didn't know what we were doing, but again, we did the best we could with what we had. Then you have a whole bunch of other people trying to tell us, y'all are wilding. Y'all need to stop having these kids. Coming from people with no kids.
They wasn't taking care of them. We was taking care of them.
They was.
But anyway, we're gonna go back to people with no kids versus people with kids. Because I feel personally, if you ain't got no kids, you should be way up. Because kids cost a lot. You should be up. You should have everything. You should already traveled. Your car should be mad updated. Your house, you should have a house. Because do you know how much it costs to raise these little ones? It is expensive, and it's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot. The people with kids, man, they have to they know the meaning of sacrifice. Because I know you want to get fly, but the baby needs this, the baby needs that. You know, you want to travel. The baby needs this, the kids need that. So everything you can't just think. You're not thinking for just yourself no more. You can't be selfish, because you got that love for your kid. It's like you just ain't gonna allow. It's like you're not gonna be selfish. Some people do, but most people with kids, that sacrifice is so real, and it goes, like kind of like underappreciated and under rewarded. Because I feel like when kids get older, this is just my views on how things should be. I'm gonna go into some whole other how things should be, because I feel like a kid really, it's not a payback, but it's like a respect. Like a kid should really be like, yo, my moms and my pops understand the struggle. So when you become able to be like, you're productive and you're making some money, you should be, because as a parent get older, their earning potential goes down. And every parent ain't having where they could have a nice IRA or pension or whatever. So you should come and get that parent some help sometime without the parent even asking. And a lot of kids don't do that. I got a lot of friends, and I just feel like kids are so selfish these days, man. All I ever wanted to do was take care of my mom. And when I had it to give her whatever she wanted, I gave it to her. Anybody know me, they know that's the truth.
I have seen it with my own eyes.
It's
many
like
times.
And that was like I always felt good. I felt good about that. Like, dang, like growing up, we ain't have much and stuff, but when I was able to do things and stuff, it really, really made me feel really good. And I was proud. It made me feel proud. Even, I'm gonna be honest, the stuff I still do today, I always think about, like, dang, my mom should be proud of me. Because my mom's, and that's one thing y'all kids don't know. I know it's supposed to be like this story supposed to be about the versus the people with no kids.
Well, the show is about parenting. How about that? And
all that. But your parents are your biggest supporters and fans. No matter what you do, right or wrong, they're gonna support you, and they're gonna always have your back. And that's what's crazy. And like you need to pay more attention to that. Be more respectful to your parents, and pay homage. Because parenting is a journey, and it never stops.
It never stops.
It never stops. It's like a never-ending journey. It never stops. I know you guys think it does, but it doesn't. So
it's just like you said. Your parents had lives before you, and it's like I always say, children don't realize, or maybe they do, but to me they don't, that your parents had a whole life before you, and your parents know what it's like to live in the world without you versus you not knowing what it's like to live in this world without your parents. And of course that doesn't apply to everyone, but again, when you have supportive people in your corner who will drop everything and something is wrong or whatever, like you said, pay homage. Do you even call your parents? Do you have a regimen? Since I've gotten older, and I did not have a good relationship with my mother. I did not. I was much tighter with my dad. And as I've gotten older, I had to come to the understanding that my mother had her own struggles. She dealt with a whole lot of stuff that I'll never know about with my dad. And, that shaped her. So it's like you have to think about what people went through or are going through and deal with before you start passing your judgments and being like, well, my parents didn't do this and didn't do that. What kind of traumas did your parents suffer that caused them to lash out or be a certain way? I hear a lot of people talk about how their parents weren't affectionate to them, didn't give, or were not just unaffectionate, but even turned away from giving their children hugs. That wasn't to say they love their children any less, but their own traumas caused them to have issues with showing affection. And instead of condemning the parent, y'all all need healing. Y'all all need to work through things, And I'm not saying that people don't have issues with certain things. And of course, there's legit and valid points in people having certain criticisms and whatever. But this ain't that. We're talking about the people who have sacrificed, did the best that they could with what they had. And like like the saying goes, children don't come with a handbook. And when you're a young parent, you're still trying to figure it out yourself while taking care of someone else and making sure they turn out to be a decent human being. And meanwhile, there's somebody who's never raised a child being like, why are you doing this and why are you doing that?
Nobody want to hear all that. And another thing with like, and this, and you should sit down and listen to this with your kids. Because this is that type of episode. Because I feel like a kid always has these things of what all of their shortcomings, their parents, and didn't do and what they did wrong. But how many kids can actually say like, when the last time you made your parent proud? Like, what did you do? What did you do to be like, my my pop's gonna be proud of me, or like all the schooling and running back. We all got some badass kids. All the school, you running back and forth to school and this, that, and the third. We trying to get you the best education, trying to keep you up to date with this, that, and the third. And now, but all you got to say is what you didn't have and what the parent did wrong. So we're going to give the horns to the parents, and we're going to give some shots to the kids.